Greetings, YouTube. Today I'm going to review the movie X-Men Origins Wolverine. Now, I used to be a big comic fan, and when I read comics, I enjoyed the X-Men. And my favorite character of the X-Men was Wolverine. Nightcrawler and Beast probably came in second and third. But one of the things I loved about the Wolverine character is his development over time. He starts out as this mysterious character. We don't know anything about him. He doesn't know anything about himself. Then we had the reveal with the Weapon X storyline. You see that he had been a mutant, and then he had been given the skeletal enhancements, which essentially snapped his mind, turned him into an animal, and he ran wild into the forests with no sentience left. And he had to basically rebuild himself with the help of some people who found it. And then eventually we had the Origins, which was, I thought, an excellent comic. And near the end of my comic reading time, I really loved what they did with that origin story. Now, the movies were different. The first X-Men movie was okay. I enjoyed it. It didn't thrill me, but it was a lot of fun. Second one, I love the second movie. I really think the characters came into their own, and I think Hugh Jackman really cemented in my mind that he was the perfect actor to play this character. Okay, the first movie, it was good, but with X2, that truly showed me that he was Wolverine. And then X3 came out, and it was a steaming pile of feces. It was just horrible. So I didn't hold a lot of hope for Wolverine's movie. And I didn't see it until this last weekend, when my wife and I watched it on New Year's Eve. Flat out, I heard the reviews, and I didn't want to waste money at the theater, and I picked this up for $2.50 from a video store. They were selling it. So my investment was minimal. And I'm glad I waited, because this is not a great movie. And I can't say it's horrible. It's not as bad as X3. There are parts of the film which are solidly executed. Fairly well written, fairly well acted, with some nice production values. But this film is just boring. All the fight scenes, all the action scenes seem very cartoony when you compare them to all the non-action scenes, which seem much more filmed in a much more realistic, dramatic style. Like I'm looking at a film that has nothing to do with superheroes. And then suddenly when they start doing superhero things, things just look cartoony and unrealistic. I mean, even though they're doing unrealistic things, there's a jarring difference between the action scenes and the non-action scenes. And then there's what they did with all of the continuity and the fact that Scott Summers would have known Wolverine, and they changed the origin story seemingly pointlessly. They didn't make it better. I think they made it worse, but they changed it. His love interest in this has to be some super secret part of the government conspiracy, and I apologize if anyone hasn't seen this yet, but I thought that was lame. He can't just have a love relationship. It's got to be all part of some kind of crap. Stryker in the movie has set him up for complete failure, and yet in the other X films, he's not in prison, which is where he should have been after Wolverine. After this film, he'd be lucky if he didn't get executed. It's just, the other heroes were kind of add-ins, like Gambit seemed pointless. Why the heck did Gambit have to fly him to 3 Mile Island? All he had to do is say, yeah, go to 3 Mile Island. His scene would have been done. And the horrible things they did to the character of Deadpool. Deadpool is an awesome character, and Ryan Reynolds is the perfect actor to play that character. Deadpool is the merc with the mouth, and nobody pulls off mouthy humor, along with looking the character of a hero, than Ryan Reynolds. And they turn him into this thing that doesn't have a mouth. His powers are just over the top and pointless, and you can't hide a sword in your arm. Okay, now, I realize that Wolverine got claws, and the claws are unrealistically long. They're this long in the comic. They have to be about that long to actually be contained inside a human forearm. Okay? And that still would be awesome. That would still make you a killing machine if you had 4-inch claws that popped out of the front of your hands. okay, you would still be the Wolverine. In fact, it's a lot more realistic in my book because you'd have claws that are a lot like an actual Wolverine's. But you can't hide swords in your arm, folks. It just doesn't work. I thought the whole interplay between Sabretooth and Wolverine was dull. The film just came across to me as very flat. The only character that really seemed to have any life in him was Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. The Blinky guy, played by Will.i.am, oh, that was like watching Pinocchio. It was so wooden. So, I can't recommend this film. It's not horrible. If you like actions, superhero action movies, go ahead and watch it. But don't expect much, because you're not going to get much. I'm hoping that if they ever make another one, they use a different production team, because this is the same guy that directed X3, which really sucked. So, I'm seeing a trend here. Maybe we need to get the guy that did X2 to direct another Wolverine movie. Because there's a lot of potential here. He's a great character. They could do so much with him. And yet, they just completely dropped the ball. It was a mishmash. It was poorly thought out. It didn't seem to have a focused direction. It was just a big old adamantium fail.